I shot over an hour of footage to show you how I built this beautiful cube storage, but let me try to cut it down to about 3 minutes so you can build it yourself. I started by cutting down 3/4 inch oak plywood with my Craig ACS Track Saw. I love this track saw and the track because it is just a super smooth cut, and I can make a full cut on a sheet of plywood with it. I used my miter saw to cut down a few pieces of poplar as well, and then I drilled some pocket holes into that on angles. Then I drilled pocket holes on the pieces of plywood that I had cut. I love using my Craig 720 Pro for this because of that wide base. I can make pocket holes on small pieces of wood or wider pieces of plywood, and I still have that same sturdy base for each piece that I need. After I drilled all of my pocket holes, I put on the edge banding for all of my pieces. I wanted to do this before I constructed it so that I could easily use my edge banding trimmer to cut this smooth. This is the best way I found to get edge banding to be a smooth cut by not having to do it later. If you build a piece like this together and then you try to cut all of the edge banding, it's not going to come out as smooth because you're not going to be able to get the ends. So I did that and sanded it and got to work building. I took my base and added 2 sides first, then used wood glue and pocket holes to attach big dividers across the middle. Then I added a shelf on top of that. As you can see, held on just tight. Then I took smaller dividers and I attached those up top on the shelf right above the bigger ones to make equally spaced sizes. I added a top, but I didn't have as much room with a regular pocket hole jig, so I used my 90-degree driver and got those put in place. Then I put my piece of backer plywood in and drilled the pocket holes in for that as well. As you can see, it's starting to come together and looks pretty good. So now it's time to build those legs. So what I did here was I used 10-degree angles on my leg pieces and then added a shorter piece in between at the top and a longer piece down at the bottom. I put it in where it met the legs so that it would reach. I used tung oil on the actual box itself, and then I stained the legs a little bit of a pecan color. I wanted this to be two-toned. It ended up being a little bit closer in color that I wanted, but it was still a pretty good mismatch. This was the hardest part of this build, was getting these legs on. I had to overhang them so I could have that space, but I used wood glue, pocket holes, and dowel joinery to hold onto these. I really wanted to make sure that these legs could hold a lot of weight because that 3/4 inch oak plywood was really heavy. I used my pull saw to cut these dowels smooth, sanded that, and then brought it in the house. I think this piece of furniture looks so rich and so beautiful with all the different tones going on. It really fits in well, and I can put some shallower cubes up top and some actual regular cubes on the bottom. If you want to build this project, make sure you grab my free woodworking plans for it right now on my website.